Today, we are going to be covering the box office report, our reaction to the Saltburn trailer, our reaction to the Ferrari trailer, our reaction to the Killer trailer, and we're going to be covering the film festival recaps, specifically the Venice Film Festival and the Telluride Film Festival, as the reviews are out for Maestro, Saltburn, The Zone of Interest, Poor Things, The Holdovers, The Killer, The Bike Riders, Rustin, and Ferrari. We're doing another version of Best Picture Pie for the 2024 Oscars. And we'll also be covering Taylor Swift's Eras Tour movie, might be a box office juggernaut. And for our grand finale, we're going to be finishing off with some Toy Story 5 rumors. All right, you movie junkies and pop culture enthusiasts, get ready for another exciting episode of Let's Be Real. I'm your host, James, and I have the privilege and pleasure to be joined by Nan, who is still away from me. How are we doing, ma'am?
Good, mate. Good.
Yeah.
Loving life down here in Tauranga.
Yeah, very, very quiet, very in your own
Chill,
solitude. Yeah,
chill, peaceful. The only thing I have to worry about is the plants and the dog.
fair enough. It's the peaceful life that you've always dreamed, right?
It is.
Yeah. All the sports going all well. Yeah.
Uh, nah, the Warriors lost this weekend, but
Yeah.
they played like a very weak team anyway. They rested all their big boys. So first
No.
round finals is this week, and we're up against like the team that's won it 2 years in a row. So
Yeah.
it's gonna be hard.
It's gonna be
Can't
hard.
see us winning it, but
Yeah.
fuck, if we beat them, then shit, we have a good chance.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm
World
down
Cup
there.
starts. World
Yeah.
Cup starts this weekend.
I'm with you this weekend. It's gonna be a good one.
Yeah. And then Adesanya fights this weekend as well. So
Oh, wow, man.
fucking it's
We got
packed
a
for
lot
Kiwi
to
sports.
watch. Yeah, we got a lot to do. But no, it's gonna be hype. I'm looking forward to seeing Tauranga for the first time, I must say. But yeah, no, that's good to hear, man.
Bring
All
your
right.
togs.
Pardon?
Bring your togs.
Okay, I will. That's a discussion for off the podcast. We'll leave that one. Um, we're gonna dive straight into things now because this conversation is gonna go somewhere else. But before we do dive into things, do slide into our DMs on Twitter with your suggestions and any topics you want us to cover. And who knows, it might make it into the show. And be sure to check out our YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button, support our endeavor for us to come out to video. That's something that we want to do. And for any of our other content, head to MovieGainz.com. That is your source for box office predictions, movie reviews, physical media coverage, and a whole lot more. You can find all the links for this in the description below. So, a shout out to you guys for joining us today. It's good to be a part of your day. And we're here to entertain, inform, and provide bad movie recommendations. So, without further ado, let's get to it. All right. So, we'll start off with the box office report for the weekend. Now, it is the Labor Day weekend in the US this weekend. So, it's a 4-day weekend. However, the only weekend estimates are for the 3-day right now. So, we're going to be covering the 3-day. The 4-day will look a little bit different, but pretty much the same. So, at number one, you got The Equalizer 3, which is debuting with 34.5 million. Second, you got Barbie with 10.6 million, dropping 29.7% at 609 million total. At third, you got Blue Beetle at 7.2 million, dropping 40.2% at 56.5 million. At fourth, you got Gran Turismo with 6.5 million, dropping a whopping 62.4% at 28.6 million total. And at number five, you got Oppenheimer with 5.5 million, that dropped 33% for a 304.7 million total at the domestic box office. Some milestones for this weekend. So the Equalizer 3 set to be it is the biggest second biggest Labor Day weekend of all time, which is second to Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings opening weekend. Barbie is the biggest Warner Brothers film of all time with 1.38 billion. Blue Beetle is a box office juggernaut with 100 million worldwide across that massive milestone. Oppenheimer debuted in China for a 5-day weekend of 30.2 million. That pushes it past it. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 for the third biggest movie of the year and globally. It also passed Inception for Nolan's biggest movie that doesn't have Batman starring in it. It also beat Deadpool for the second highest grossing R-rated film of all time. And fun little fact to add on here, the top 3 films of the year aren't they're not a part of any pre-existing franchise, and that's the first time that's happened since 2001. If it sticks, that is. And in 2001, the top three was Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, or Sorcerer's Stone, wherever you are, Lord of the Rings, the Fellowship of the Ring, and Monsters Inc. And all of them are now franchises. And so we know that Barbie's going to be a franchise. We know that Mario's going to be a franchise. Oppenheimer 2 could come. We don't even know. But I thought that was an interesting fun fact to add on. Nam, what are your thoughts on the box office for this weekend?
I'm actually quite surprised by Equalizer 3. I didn't realize it would make that much, to
I
be
know.
honest.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's real surprising. And I guess with results like that goes to show why there's three films. Because people obviously go turn up for this, and then you also have Denzel Washington as the main character as well, and we all know that he's quite a significant draw.
Yep.
So yeah, when you said that, I was like, wow, 34.5 million, really?
Yeah.
for a third film. But hey, that's pretty cool. Barbie still in number 2 for what, eighth weekend now? Seventh?
Yes,
Seventh.
yeah, seventh weekend. Yep.
Seventh weekend. That's pretty good, and it shows that those drops are they're not massive drops. They're like still under 30s, so that's pretty good. It can goes to show that it's going to leg it out quite a bit.
Yeah.
100 million for Blue Beetle. I mean, I guess that's a win for Warner Brothers, considering
Worldwide, it costs like 104 to 120 million to make, not including marketing. Yeah.
It's getting there. It's almost there.
Slowly but surely, right?
Yeah. I think the big one is Oppenheimer with this massive China debut. We could see it potentially dethrone Bohemian Rhapsody as the highest grossing biopic film.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool. And hopefully
cool.
it does get there. I think it's like 950 mil is its target.
Yes. Right? It's around there. Yeah, it could swing for $1 billion. It could swing for just under Bohemian, but yeah, it's gonna be interesting.
Yeah. So there's some pretty good results, and otherwise a quiet period for box office and films.
Yeah. No, yeah, I think that's what we're going to be seeing for at least the next month. It's going to be quite a quiet time and then box office. I can't recall anything massive that's opening in the next month. And then the next one is Taylor Swift Eras Tours. We'll get to that later. But yeah, there is not much. It wouldn't have been Dune. I believe there's some good stuff coming in October, but September's for sure a quiet one. You'll get your little hits like The Nun 2 and stuff like that. But nothing major or significant. They'll just perform as you kind of expect them to perform. But yeah, overall, these kind of the milestones that I mentioned they're quite interesting. Barbie being, the biggest Warner Brothers film of all time. That's no one really saw that coming, but it also kind of makes me wonder how Warner Brothers, such a historic and iconic studio, it's never done anything more than 1.38 billion, which I think it passed Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2 to get that, which is surprising, but really, really good on its part. Equalizer 3, I was very wrong about my prediction. I predicted 34 for the 4-day weekend, not 34 for the 3-day weekend. But it goes to show that Denzel Washington is just, he's a cinematic treasure. That guy is a draw at the box office. We can't really deny that. But yeah, Oppenheimer still making headlines with its box office. Don't know how it's going to leg it out, but that billion there, it's looking like it could be in sight. It's going to be quite interesting to see that how that plays out as we enter this kind of quiet period for the box office. Yeah. All right, so we're going to be covering a bunch of trailers now, and these trailers are from movies that award pundits are really generating buzz for the Oscars and stuff like that. So the first one we're going to look at is Saltburn, directed by Emerald Fennell. She directed Promising Young Woman. And so, yeah, Nan, you've seen the trailer. What do you think of this one?
I think it's quite interesting. I like the way how the trailer was set out, and I thoroughly enjoyed the music throughout the trailer. I hope the music in the trailer is part of the score, is the score, because I think that will elevate the movie quite a bit. But it's quite intriguing, this whole story. It seems like as if it's like an outcast guy getting taken into like a massive ass mansion with like hundreds of other people as well, and they just all live there, and it's pretty much got everything in there. It's like it's like a house. It's like, entertainment area, a
Yeah.
nightclub and stuff like that. So I think it's really interesting concept. There was a bit of a scare when trailers, or not trailers, but reviews started first dropping out for this, where
Mm,
it was rotten. But
yeah.
now after 12 reviews, not much, but something, it's crawled its way to 75% on Rotten Tomatoes. So hopefully it can either stay around there or
Yeah.
go up higher, because I think to me, it looks like around about that 70 to 80 mark
Hmm.
in terms of a film. But I think the
Yeah.
way some of the cinematography shot type styles in this as well, it
Hmm.
looks really good. It's quite
Yeah.
quite Babylon-y almost, with
Yeah.
like a good score and like decent cinematography.
Mm. Yeah, it's very interesting. I don't really I know that there's movies out there that I can compare it to, but I can't really think of them at this point. But well, no, it looks very interesting. Visually, some of the shots in there were, just incredible and a massive upgrade to Emerald Fennell's work on Promising Young Woman, which that movie had what had a very good screenplay, and Carey Mulligan carried a lot of that movie. But I don't remember it being like as stunning as what this trailer looks like. So it seems like Emil Fennell is only getting better as a visual and technical director as well. The production design looks absolutely outstanding. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a nomination in there for that. And if the score is as good as what we got in the trailer, it could really play like a Babylon kind of thing at the Oscars, where it's more prominent in production design and score, and maybe slips out of everything else. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think it looks very interesting. I don't really know what to expect. I don't really know much about the story and where it's going. And, we aren't going to cover any more trailers for these types of movies, because these aren't movies that we don't want to see anything more on it. So this is a perfect little teaser to get and anticipated for, and just to really, build that kind of buzz. And I think it did exactly that. I had no idea what I was expecting from this movie, and I still don't. So I kind of appreciate it being that way. Um, but yeah, I got the sense that this movie is going to, what we saw in that movie is just kind of like it's a very brief tease, and it's going to go kind of twisted and interesting. And yeah, I can't wait to see what Emerald Fennell gives us for it.
Yeah, and I hope Barry Keoghan can really shine in this, because I think,
Mm,
well, this will be the first film that I've seen him where he's a main character, so to speak. He's usually supporting or like barely in there. I can't
yeah.
recall a movie where he has been prominent. So I hope like
Mm,
we really get to see his acting prowess in this film.
yeah, yeah, definitely agree. And I don't know if you've seen much of Jacob Elordi. Do you know much about him or seen his work? Nah, I've only really, I think I've only seen him. I know he's on Euphoria, but I've only really seen him on Netflix, kind of cringy stuff. And it seems like he's going to become like a really major, Hollywood star, both in independent and blockbuster films. He was auditioning for Superman. He's in Priscilla, which is the Priscilla Presley's biopic. So he's going to become a big star by the looks of it, just getting those kind of auditions and stuff like that. So I'm really interested to see what kind of acting he can do when he's not being a cringy jock on a Netflix movie. I think that's an intriguing part for me as well. But yeah, no, that it definitely looks like a good movie. I saw the trailer and then I see the reviews, and it's like, for me, the movie looks like, an easily 85% plus kind of movie. Really curious to see where it'll be once we get, much more of the reviews coming in. But we'll move on now to another movie where the reviews aren't so fantastic, and that is Ferrari. So yeah, the movie stars Adam Driver. It's directed by Michael Mann, who directed Heat. This is basically Michael Mann's passion project. He's been trying to get it made for about 30 years now, so it's finally here. The trailers dropped. Wasn't the best day for Ferrari in the Monza Grand Prix, and it's funny that we're talking about it on today when the Italian Grand Prix was happening. So yeah, Nan, what do you think? What do you think of the movie? Oh, the trailer, movie trailer.
Nice save. I thought it looked really good. I love the way that the trailer was made.
Mm,
It was showcasing Ferrari as in the vehicle, and like you can hear the roar of the engine and stuff. There was not a word spoken. It was all
mm,
it was just car noises, the engine and whatnot.
except for the last
Yeah,
line.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I was getting there.
Yeah. Sorry.
So, so yeah, spoiler alert. The last line, the last like 10 seconds
Damn.
has words in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it looks fantastic. It gave me quite just the way it was shot. Really gave me like 4V Ferrari sort of vibes. Like the old school Ferraris, but even like the cinematography and like the color palettes as well.
Yeah.
Filters, whatever.
Mhm.
It gave me that sort of vibes. We we know nothing about the story apart from that it's based on Ferrari.
Mhm.
But just by watching this trailer, I mean, we don't even get to see Adam Driver act and vocally. It's just we just see his facial expressions and stuff like that, and he
Yeah.
looks as if he's going to knock it out of the park. So I'm
Mhm.
quite excited for this, and hopefully the reviews do end up showing that it's better than what these earlier reviews are.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're definitely right. I was watching this and I'm like, this feels like a Ford vs Ferrari prequel. I wouldn't be surprised if we got a Ford movie now. And then the post credit scene is like Ford will return or something stupid like that. But you're absolutely right. It's shot like Ford vs Ferrari. You got the cars coming close to the camera and it kind of like zooms in a little bit. Just stuff like that, and yeah, it really did remind me of that, which is a completely good thing. I think we need more good racing movies, and further to that, good sports movies, but we don't really get much of them. So these kind of stuff it's a welcomed thing for me. But yeah, basically the movie's really just I think it's gonna be covering Enzo Ferrari and his building this, automobile empire. And it looks to be it looks really, really good. It's shot well. You like you said, the color palette, it pops, it works. The acting from not only Adam Driver but Penelope Cruz, they both look really, really good in this. Um, although I need to see how the accent is done by Adam Driver, because it's a very Italian accent. So we will need to see more about that. But yeah, it looks fantastic. I have no complaints about this trailer or anticipation. The reviews are surprising because they came out after the trailer had dropped, and so yeah, I was a bit surprised, but I'm still really excited for this, and much more excited than I was initially prior to the trailer. Yeah. All right. And so the final trailer we're going to be looking at today is David Fincher's return, and that is with The Killer. So yeah, this movie, directed by David Fincher, stars Michael Fassbender, and yeah, it's going to be releasing on Netflix 2 weeks beforehand. You'll be able to see it in select theaters. But Nan, we've seen the trailer. What do you think of this?
I think it looks excellent. Reviews are already out for it, sitting at 90%, and that's pretty much what I had in my head when I was watching the trailer. I think, yeah, it just looks so good. I think Michael Fassbender is just going to absolutely kill it in this film. And the trailer, we only really hear him speak, and it sounds like as if it's through a monologue. So it will be really cool if the film adapts that sort of style where it's just like him talking to himself, somewhat similar to the Batman, but probably on a bit more frequent.
Mm-hmm.
If it's just about him like going through how to like, I don't know, kill people, avoid people and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
it looks very Finchery, just the way
Yep.
it's shot. And I think anyone that's seen a David Fincher film knows exactly what I'm talking about,
Yeah.
because it's quite hard to describe. But I think this is another big hit on David Fincher's hands. Like
Mm-hmm.
it has a compelling story already just on this short minute and a half trailer. You have Michael Fassbender who looks as if he's going to be absolutely fantastic, and David Fincher's directing, styling, creative style as well.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're 100% correct on that. No, this looks good. I know that the what it's based on is actually a comic book. It's a French comic book. So you're referring to Batman there. It could be easily be doing something like that. And what we see in the trailer could actually result in that kind of internal monologue and stuff like that. It'd be very interesting to see them do it. But overall, I thought this trailer was amazing. Like, it's just cut really well. It's super interesting. It doesn't give too much away. and it really shows David Fincher's kind of visual style. And like you said, you just know it's a David Fincher movie. Just the way it's shot, the really blue, kind of dark blue hues in the color and all that kind of stuff. It really feels like his kind of movie, and I'm glad we're getting a David Fincher movie where it's back to more of a contemporary setting and not a historical take like Mank. And I can appreciate Mank for what it does, but it interested me in no way possible. And I think you and I kind of felt the same about that movie. So to see Fincher really get into a more contemporary setting, and hopefully something that plays with the mind, looking at stuff like Seven and Fight Club, Fincher's a master at playing with your mind when it comes to different kind of films, and I hope The Killer is going to be one of them as well. And I think the reviews indicate that, and I've heard stuff like it might be one of his best films, and this trailer completely alludes to that. I'm super excited. Like the end of the year is starting to look really, really stacked, so I'm getting super hyped just looking at all these trailers and stuff like that. I wish we had a year with Fincher, Nolan, and Villeneuve all together, but Fincher will do this one. If it's anything as good as a trailer, it's going to be a really, really great film. Yeah,
Agreed, definitely.
agree. All right, so we are going to be talking a little bit more about these movies because they did debut at film festivals recently. So we'll just go through some that debuted. So for the 2023 Telluride Film Festival and the 80th Venice International Film Festival, these films had their kind of world premiere, so to speak. So first one we'll cover is Maestro. Now I was just getting the funny story. I was getting the Rotten Tomatoes score and the reviews things for Maestro. Saw it was at 95, and then I went back to the page and it was 93 with 7 more reviews. So we got a lot more context for this now. One now. But anyway, Maestro, it's a movie directed by Bradley Cooper, stars Bradley Cooper and Carey Mulligan, and it's about the towering and fearless love story that chronicles the lifelong relationship between Leonard Bernstein and Felicia Montaliga Cohn-Bernstein. I'm not great with that pronunciation, sorry, but yeah, it's basically the film is a love letter to life and art, and the film is going to, at its core, it's going to be an emotionally epic portrayal of family and love. Now, the Rotten Tomatoes score is 93% with 27 reviews, and the average rating is 7.8 out of 10. This movie looks to be a big player at the Oscars. Nayan, just from these reviews and what the film really is, where are you at with this movie?
Pretty much where I was at before this, where we all know it's going to be a big Oscar film. And just looking at this, it looks like as if we're going to be right. It's going to make a big play. In terms of the picture, might sneak into picture. Bradley Cooper will definitely get a nom. Maybe Carey Mulligan, depending on her performance. When more reviews start to come out, but it just goes to show that Bradley Cooper is a capable actor and director. I mean, this is the second directed film, and it's in the high 90s. And getting Oscar buzz, his first one, A Star Is Born, is quite high on Rotten Tomatoes and got a lot of Oscar nominations and stuff like that. So he could be a very capable director, and I'll be excited to see what he makes next, as long as he keeps sticking to his strengths.
Yeah, 100%. It's funny because when A Star Is Born was coming out, I was doing my most anticipated list for the year that it was coming out, and I saw Bradley Cooper directing. Skip this. I'm not interested. Then it came out, and I think it was I think it was at least top 5 favorite films of the year for that year. A Star Is Born was just amazing, and then with Maestro, I think the first reaction that I saw out of its debut, it was a negative reaction. And I was like, right, okay, Bradley Cooper's a one-hit wonder. And then I saw the Rotten Tomatoes score, and I was like, damn it, I was fooled again. So I got to stop, underestimating. Yeah, I can't doubt him anymore. I have to have trust in Bradley Cooper as a director. He seems to be or have a very good understanding and grasp on the craft of directing. So yeah, I really got to hand it to him to be able to hit twice in a row with this. It just seems like it's a very hard thing to do. It's a hard thing to make a good movie. It's harder to make two movies that generate Oscar buzz and get nominations. So for him to do it, twice straight away is he can be a very exciting director moving forward, and especially when he puts himself as the lead actor.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, both his movies feature him heavily in it as well. So could you
Yeah.
imagine like how good he could make a film if he's took that acting pressure away from him and just purely focused on the directing part?
Yeah,
God, who knows how good that could be.
I know exactly. I've heard stuff like Carrie Mulligan in the movie. She is the best part about it. Her performance is amazing. So that one gets me really excited. I love Carrie Mulligan as an actress. But yeah, no, I'm excited for this one. I believe that you had it in your top 10, or at least your honorable mentions for most anticipated.
Probably, I can't remember. It
Yeah,
was somewhere.
we'll have to go back, but
Yeah.
that might pay off in the long run. This movie
Finally,
is
are right.
the Nay curse is broken. But yeah, I think this movie debuts on Netflix as well. And hopefully it doesn't release in New Zealand next year in July or something stupid like that. We need to get it the same time as everybody else, please.
We'll get it if it releases on Netflix in November. We'll get it at the same time, right?
Yeah, no, we get it. I'm just making a joke because any Oscar movie,
Uh,
it seems to come out in March the next year for New Zealand.
or,
It's really annoying.
or after the Oscars.
Yeah. Oh,
Some films have come out after the Oscars.
don't get me started. I don't want to get angry on the potty. Not now. Not now. We haven't talked about MCU yet or DCU, so I don't want to get angry talking about good movies. But anyway, we're gonna move on to Saltburn. We just talked about the trailer. We liked it. Now, so the reviews coming out of this one, as Nayan said before, when we first saw the reviews for this, it was in the rotten range, but it's at 12 reviews right now. It's sitting at 75%, so it's going up as more reviews come in. The average rating's at 7.8, so it matches Maestro in average rating. That's the interesting part that no one really talks about with Rotten Tomatoes, is that the average rating can be the same, but the actual percentage can be different. What one's more valid? That I guess it's up to you to decide, but I thought that was an interesting part of it. But yeah, Saltburn. But this movie is about Oliver Quick, and he finds himself drawn into the world of the charming and aristocratic Felix Catton, which is Jacob Elordi. And he invites him to Saltburn, which is an eccentric family's sprawling estate, and they'll be experiencing a summer never to be forgotten. So, Nan, hearing all this stuff about Saltburn, are you excited for it now? I know we just talked about it, but go back to the average rating, same as Maestro, different percentage scores. What are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts is that Maestro has at least like another 15, 16, 17 more reviews. I can't do maths real fast, but there or thereabouts, more reviews than that. So maybe when Saltburn gets that, the average rating could come down or it could go up. We don't know. And same can be said for Maestro. So my thoughts are still exactly the same as what I discussed in the trailer. Still excited for it. Emerald Fennell, her first film I saw was Promising Young Woman, and I love that. So I hope this is just as good. But I was a bit worried when I first saw that Rotten Tomatoes score was at 55 because I was like, damn it. Like I wanted to see like consistency in these like little known directors that I've like only seen a few films for. But it seems like as if this is going to crawl its way into a decent film for me, at least.
Yeah, no, I think you're completely right. But the 7.8 average rating, it is very interesting to me. It kind of shows that, with these kind of things, especially something like Saltburn, it either seems that you're really going to love it or you're not going to like it. That I think that's how the average rating would work, since the percentage is down, but the average rating is the same as Maestro. But I think we're looking at something where I think once you get kind of the other critics involved, I think it is the percentage is going to go up, but the average rating will go a little bit down. That's my prediction. As for the movie, yeah, I was worried when I first saw that. I was like, oh, that's annoying. I really wanted that one to be good. I was really, banking on that. I really love Promising Young Woman. So it was a bit surprising, but just to, look at the overall picture and just see that it is kind of nearly on the same par as something like Maestro, it does add a little bit of reassurance that, you could really love this movie. So I hope that that's what we get it with this. And yeah, if it's anything like Promising Young Woman, it's going to be great. But it adds some assurity to us and being excited. All right, we're going to move on to a couple of big boys now. So the first one is The Zone of Interest. Now, this movie didn't debut at any of these festivals. It would only had limited reviews because it debuted at Cannes, but the reviews have it's gone up a lot higher since debuting at Telluride and I think Venice as well. I'm not too sure on that one, but at least it was at Telluride. This movie is about the commander of the biggest concentration camp in World War II, Rudolf Hoss, and his wife Hedwig, and they're striving to build their dream life for their family in a house and garden next to the camp. So, yeah. The Rotten Tomatoes score is 96%, and it has 55 reviews, and the average rating is a 9.1 out of 10. So that's very high. The things that I've seen from this movie in terms of its reception is just it's a very big calling. But Nan, what are you thinking looking at this kind of movie and just hearing about the plot and these kind of reviews?
Yeah, I really like the synopsis here. It's quite intriguing and set in that World War II era, but it's not quite focused on the war aspect that we see nowadays. It's on a different aspect of war, which I think doesn't get covered enough. So I think this has a really good, interesting concept, and it's obviously a critical hit. 9.1 average rating is insane. It's very rare that we see anything like 8 and above in terms of average rating, let alone 9.
Yeah.
So this goes to show that it could be a big Oscar or a sleeper hit at the Oscars, So yeah, hopefully it keeps up that when more reviews come out, then when we eventually go see it, hopefully it does live up to the hype.
Yeah. In terms of the Oscar potential for this movie, the stuff that I have seen, I've heard some really big, just very big praises for this film, but they have said that it may be too brutal for the Academy to consider. So I think that might be the thing holding him back, because you're looking at the commander of a concentration camp and them trying to build a dream life, and apparently it's quite brutal in the kind of ideas that it tackles, but it does it in a way that doesn't glorify these kind of people. So I think that might be the challenging aspect of this, but you're right, it could be a sleeper hit if the Academy, if they bite at something like this. I think they're going to bite pretty hard, and it's going to go.
100%.
It really could go all the way. Something like this, especially covering like that and taking us inside of the mind and household of the evilness and the cruelty of World War II. I think that's more interesting than seeing some soldiers run across the battlefield. Sometimes I'm excited for the different take on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Move on now to one that I saw coming out of nowhere. Now, Poor Things, we've spoken about both trailers, I think, as they've come out. Yeah. And Yorgos Lanthimos, I said that I think he was a little bit lucky with The Favorite in terms of its Oscar coverage, and I don't know if he can hit Oscar gold twice. Wow. Poor Things debuted to 100% on the Rotten Tomatoes website, 26 reviews and a 9.3 out of 10 average rating. Apparently it's his best movie. The movie is about a young woman that's brought back to life by an unorthodox scientist, and she runs off with a lawyer on an adventure across the continents. Free from the prejudice of her time, she grows steadfast in her purpose to stand for equality and liberation. So yeah, Naim, we've seen the trailers. It looks interesting and eccentric in a really wacky kind of way, but a 9.3 average rating, 100%. What are your thoughts on this? Are you like hyped for this one now?
I better not get this fucking film after the Oscars, and I better not get it next year. It needs to come out in New Zealand when it's supposed to come out, so I can watch it, because this is just awesome, and we've discussed the two trailers. We like the visual style to the film,
Mhm.
and we both see that it had an interesting plot as well.
Yeah.
And the fact that these reactions have come out after this festival just goes to show that this is going to be an awesome, awesome movie.
Yeah.
I've heard things where Mark Ruffalo is fantastic in this film. He's like comedic, but also heartfelt as well. And I've heard Emma Stone is definitely a contender for Best Actress at the Oscars as well. So
Mhm.
all those things, and then plus this, and a very capable director. I haven't seen any of his work, but you have. Um, yeah, fuck, I'm excited for this.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see it.
Yeah, man. I'm excited. I would definitely recommend to go check out his other stuff. He's a very interesting director. It's not your standard kind of slapstick Oscar baity kind of stuff. It's very interesting, and I think you'll know what I mean when I say I never knew if the Academy would buy into this movie as much as something like The Favorite, because The Favorite seemed more straightforward than what this did. But I think with the reception it's getting, you can't deny that it's going to have quite a strong presence in the Oscars. I think Emma Stone's going to be, deep in the mix for Best Actress alongside Carey Mulligan. It's going to be, it's just going to be so good. It's just adding a movie that I didn't think would be as good as it's being received, and you're adding that into an already stacked Oscar slate. I think should get anyone who loves movies really really excited. This movie has the potential to be a really really big player as we move forward. But I'm so glad to see a director like Yorgos Lanthimos to really keep improving as a director and keep bringing kind of interesting stuff. I'm really excited to see where he goes, and I'm really excited for this movie. Sad to say though to you, Nan, this feels like a movie that would come in like February or March for New Zealand. As sad as it is, I think it's Fox Searchlight, and they usually do it late here. It's very very frustrating. Hopefully the studios on our end can do a nice little quick one. Or digital release. Hopefully, we'll see. But yeah, I'm super excited for this one. Now you just can't ignore a film when it has reviews like this. Yeah, you can't ignore something that's a 9.3 out of 10 average rating. Just
Definitely not.
insane. Yeah. All right. So moving on. So it's the Holdovers. Now, the Holdovers follows an instructor at a New England prep school who is forced to remain on campus during Christmas break to babysit the handful of students with nowhere to go. He eventually forms an unlikely bond with one of them, a damaged, brainy troublemaker, and with the school's head cook, who has just lost a son in Vietnam. Now, apparently, the instructor at the school is a very lonely man who no one seems to love or appreciate. So something that swings really into kind of the Oscar baity kind of stuff. But it did debut with 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, only 7 reviews, but an average rating of 8.2 out of 10. Now, and I don't know how much you've heard about the Holdovers movie, but it stars Paul Giamatti, who's generating buzz in the Best Actor category, directed by Alexander Payne. Yeah, so I don't know if you know about this movie, but upon hearing the stuff that I've just said, are you excited for this movie? What do you think?
Uh, I have heard about Paul Giamatti. I've heard
Mhm.
that he's also like the front runner to win Best Actor as well.
He's up
Um,
there for sure. Yeah.
from this film. It's quite hard to get excited about a 100% film with only 7 reviews because the pool is just so small.
Yeah.
But the average rating there is 8.2, and that's very good.
Hmm.
In it, for Rotten Tomatoes, if the average rating is 8 or above, it's a good film. If it's 9 or higher, then
Really good. Yeah.
yeah. So I think
Hmm.
that does have me a bit excited for, but yeah, but based on 7 reviews, it's so hard to make a judgment really because if you think
Yeah.
about it, only 7 people saw the film. Question
Mm.
mark.
Yeah.
But no, I'm looking forward to it. I like the synopsis of it, and I'm excited to see Paul Giamatti's performance in this because I've heard quite a lot about it. So I hope it does live up to that hype and yeah, give it a
Yeah.
hoon.
Yeah. No, for sure. I've also heard a lot about Davine Joy Randolph, who plays the head cook who just lost her son. Apparently, she's the emotional core of the movie, and she's generating a lot of traction in the Best Supporting Actress category. But for this movie, I'm looking forward to it. I don't really know what to expect. I imagine that it plays similar to Manchester by the Sea. Have you seen Manchester by the Sea?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, yeah. It feels very similar to that, and it feels very similar to that. Kind of. It'll get the best picture nom. It will get best director, screenplay, and some of the acting noms in there. And it won't. That's all it will really do. It might pick up one or two in there. But yeah, I've heard good stuff about Paul Giamatti and Davine Joy Randolph. So I'm excited for this. I don't. It's not really a movie where I look at it and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm so excited for it. Based on the reception, and you are right, it's a very small pool of only 7 reviews. I'm excited for it, and I'll see where it is. The reason why I give a little bit more, I guess, I guess, I don't know the word right now, but I trust these reviews a little bit more than your standard reviews because they're coming from critics that are attending these festivals rather than kind of online website critics that
Oh yeah.
go see movies on opening weekend kind of thing. um People know what I mean. You kind of get the best critics that are around going to these things and seeing everything. But yeah, we'll see how things turn out. I am looking forward to it. All right, one that we've already talked about. The last two that we will talk about today because we are on running on a certain amount of time here. So The Killer, directed by David Fincher. We just talked about the trailer, but the film follows a ruthless assassin who has a very bad miss on one of his jobs, and he has to battle his employers and himself on a global manhunt he insists is anything but personal. Very brief synopsis there. So for the Rotten Tomatoes score, it's 90%, only 21 reviews, but the average rating sitting at 7.7. So you look at this average rating, and it's the lowest one so far that we've talked about, lower than Saltburn at 75%, lower than Maestro as well. So something to think about there. But what are your thoughts on this, Nan? As we are both really excited for it based on that really cool trailer.
Yeah, yeah, that average rating is definitely one think about. I mean, yeah, it's only point 0.1 under the other two, but the fact that it's like 7.7 but 90% on Rotten Tomatoes just goes to show how,
Mm,
fluctuating up and down
I
Rotten
know what you
Tomatoes.
mean. Yeah.
Yeah. How up and down Rotten Tomatoes do their scores and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I can't touch upon any more than what I already said in the trailer. I'm excited for it still, and I think it's going to be one of David Fincher's best films in recent memory.
Yeah. Oh, completely agreed. This is not one where I get kind of worried about it. I feel like I'm gonna love this movie regardless. That trailer alone, if it sets the tone of the film, I'm fully on board, and I think I'll love it. As much as I love the trailer. There's always like Rotten Tomatoes kind of. It's always hard to base like or compare your opinion to Rotten Tomatoes. Like we're just talking about now, the Rotten Tomatoes score may be a 93%, but the average rating is like 6.2. So you can't really get a very accurate depiction on how the film's quality until you see it for yourself. But yeah, I think it's still going to be very good. It's just going to be one of those movies that have a really or have a lower average rating than some of the others, but the Rotten Tomatoes score I think is going to sit above the 85% mark quite easily. And David Fincher, he doesn't miss very often. I'll just say that much.
Definitely not.
No. So the last one we're going to cover is Ferrari. So yeah, it's about the biopic of Enzo Ferrari, the family that redefined the idea of the high-powered Italian sports car and practically spawned the concept of Formula One racing. So he's the GOAT. But the Rotten Tomatoes score for this one, and the trailer looks great. I think we can all say that here. The trailer looks great, but the Rotten Tomatoes score is 76%, 33 reviews. The average rating for this though, 6.3 out of 10, significantly lower than everything we're seeing. Now, what's your takeaway from this one?
Either critics don't get what the film's trying to say, or the film's just not as good as the trailer. Um,
Mm,
it could go either way. I'm hoping it's the the latter. So I had to think about what I was trying to get to
The
at that
latter
point.
is the film's not as good as the trailer.
The former, the
The former,
first thing I
yeah,
said.
yeah.
I hope it's the critics not understanding what this film is or trying to do, because that trailer,
Mm,
as discussed, looks fantastic, and
yeah.
Adam Driver looks fantastic in it. I actually haven't seen many reactions towards his acting
Mhm.
in this film. You might have, so you might be able to comment on that. But just watching that trailer, I think it's awesome. But yeah, with all these big Oscar films, there's always that one little outlier, and just so happens to be Ferrari. So it doesn't really do its chances that well in terms of Oscar race. It sort of,
Mm.
based on this, it sort of hurt itself a little. But hopefully when more reviews come out, it can just get bumped up a little bit more and actually show that it is a better than what the initial reactions are.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you're absolutely correct with the Oscars component of it all. With the Oscars, you always have your bona fide front runners. Killers of the Flower Moon, Oppenheimer. They're going to be big players. Like we knew that before Oppenheimer came out. We knew it before the Cannes Film Festival debut for Killers of the Flower Moon. You just know you're going to get Oscar gold there. But with the Oscars, there's always that one that surprises and is always like a big player, and no one ever saw it coming. You can look at everything everywhere all at once, or you can look at past lives, which would do that this year. No one really knew or saw that movie was coming, but it's coming pretty heavy. And there's always that movie that you look at the start of the year and be like, damn, that's going to be a big Oscar player. We saw that with Ferrari. Based on these reviews, it doesn't look like it might be a big player. Now, you're right. I haven't seen any reactions to Adam Driver, or even much comments on his performance here. So either it's not good, or it's not good enough to get the praise, or I just haven't been around enough to really see it. But what I have heard is Penelope Cruz. I've heard a lot about that. Adam Driver looks great. And I know his capability as an actor, but yeah, Penelope Cruz seems to be generating quite a bit of buzz. I do think this will be in the Oscar conversation still. I don't know if the nomination for Best Picture is there, but I think it'll pop up in another category: cinematography, production design,
Yeah,
even makeup and hairstyling. Adam Driver looks quite, different. He's got a very
cool.
I could detect that guy under any kind of prosthetic, I feel, but he still looks much different than the usual Adam Driver that we get. So I think it'll be a strong player in other categories. Might not be the movie that we are envisioning based on that awesome trailer. All right, we're gonna move on to the most delicious segment that we do here.
Thank God I ate before the podcast.
It's always fun to do it. Okay. So anyone that listens to this show on a regular basis, you guys know what our pies are like. But I'll explain again for anyone new here. Basically, with the pie, I credit a film a percentage of the pie, and so it equals to 100%, which is the full pie. And basically, in terms of this context, the Best Picture pie here, it's basically just predicting what will win Best Picture. So if a film has 0%, then I believe it has 0% chance of winning. Not saying it doesn't have a 0% chance of getting a nomination. I'm talking about winning specifically. But it's a film that has like 30%, then that has 30% chance of winning, in my opinion. If I say that a movie has 0% and I'm noting the movie, then I think that it's a player in this conversation. I'm not going to sit here and say that the Mario's brothers have 0% chance, because I couldn't sit here and list every single movie that has 0% chance. So 0% chance is still kind of something. It's noted. It's hanging around off the pie. It's not delicious at all. So we got from we this is our second box office, or not box office, Best Picture pie. So we have one that has exited, and it was a pretty significant player. It had 5% on the last pie. It's not even on the pie. It's not even a 0% one. It's Doom Part 2. Because I don't think that movie is going to be very good. No, jokes. It's just not going to be a part of it. unless because it's obviously got delayed. So if it comes back, then sure, it can jump back on. So Doom Part 2 is gone. So to the 0%ers, we got Ferrari. Now, last time Ferrari got 2%. So it's dropped down. I saw the reviews. No chance of winning now. Also at 0% is Saltburn. Last time that had 3%. So I've dropped that one down as well. I don't see winning as a reality. Also at 0%, it was 0% last time is Dumb Money. 0% last time, 0% this time is Air. 0% this time and 0% last time is Barbie as well. So those ones, 0% chance. A movie that got 0% last time, but has 1% this time, that is Across the Spider-Verse. So I think with Dune out of the mix, it allows for a more popular film to slide right in. Get that nomination. I think it will, now that Dune's out of the picture, and that we're seeing kind of Ferrari and Saltburn maybe lose a bit of steam there. The percentage I'm giving it, I don't know if it can, but it has 1% chance, in my opinion. It would be very rare for it to get it. And next one that's at 1%, last time I got 1% as well, and that is The Killer by David Fincher. The reviews are modest. They're pretty good. I don't think they indicate anything of a Best Picture winner. Definitely a Best Picture nomination could be in store for this one. We really have to see how the campaign and momentum carries on out. But yeah, you never know. David Fincher, yeah, I don't think any of his movies have won Best Picture, but some of them have gone on to be some of the highest rated films of all time. So you never really know. Next one, this one had 8% last time. It drops down to 3%, and that is The Holdovers. Now I know it has open to 100%. It's only 7 reviews. It does have an 8.2 average rating. But the competition from other ones have really pushed this one down. So just keep that one in mind. 3% last time, 3% this time is May, December. Sit strong. Nothing's really happened for make this movie move at all. Really strong performances, really strong screenplay and directing. I think those are all the biggest components in making a Best Picture winner. I think it's going to get the nomination, but to get the win it's a very slim chance. For this movie, it had 15% last time. I've dialed back down on the buzz completely and put it at 4%, and that is The Color Purple. Again, this is just a case of all these movies coming into fruition with their reviews and their reception, some very out of left field. So that's why The Color Purple is down. Last time this movie had 6%, stays at 6%. That is Past Lives. Again, this movie's been out. It's on video on demand now, so you can just go and see it. But I don't know if it has the momentum to carry on through to get that Best Picture win. But the reception and praise that this film's getting, it continues to just be very, very high. So it could play something like Everything Everywhere All at Once, opened in April, carried on right through to the next year. So it could really happen again. It really depends on how, the swing of everything else is there. But Past Lives is definitely going to get that nomination. It's definitely going to be a big player. Just how big is really the biggest question of this. Last time this movie had a 1%. It has boosted up to 9%, and that is The Zone of Interest. It has a 9.1 out of 10 average rating. It is sitting very high in terms of reviews. I don't know how the Academy will look at this one. It does cover quite a brutal side of World War II. But if it really works for them, then I think I can see this player being a very, very heavy Oscar favorite moving forward. So at 9%, The Zone of Interest. Next one was at 7%. It boosts up to 10%. That's Maestro by Bradley Cooper. The reviews are good. We're hearing some good stuff. Good acting, good screenplay. Stuff like there's technical categories in there, sound, makeup and hairstyling, all being a part of this. I think it could be another thing. It's going to get that Best Picture nomination. I really do believe that. Another one for Bradley Cooper. And yeah, I can see this being a potential Best Picture winner. It really depends on how the Oscar campaign is really handled and how, the rest of the critics and all these precursor awards really react to it. Next one had a 1% chance on the last pie, boosts up to a mighty 12. That is Poor Things, and I've only really done that because of the absurd average rating of being 9.3 out of 10, and that's on 23 reviews, was it? Something around that. It's not like 7 reviews. It's like it's in the 20s, and sure, that's
26.
still a low. Pardon?
26.
26, so even better than 23. So it's more than it's enough to get a good grasp on how good this movie is going to be. We're hearing amazing reactions out of it. The words that are describing this movie are huge. But again, we have to see how the Academy looks at something that's really eccentric like this. It's quite unique, and if the Academy really, like I said before, if the Academy bite on this movie, then they're going to bite pretty hard on it. I feel you're going to see a ton of acting, directing potentially, and a lot of the technical stuff. I think Poor Things has a chance as well. The last two, you know what it is. It's Oppenheimer and Killers of the Flower Moon. Oppenheimer sits at 25%. It's gone up, and it's gone up because of Dune Part 2 leaving. Last time was at 23%, so I've boosted it up too. And that's because I think Oppenheimer has a chance to really sweep a lot of the technical categories, sound, cinematography, score, all that kind of stuff. I think it can pick up those wins, which are going to help its case in terms of being a Best Picture winner. And sure, we would want Dune to stay so we could see such an amazing Oscar battle there. And all these categories are massively stacked this year. But with Dune and Oppenheimer leading the pack, it would have been very interesting, those technical categories. But with Oppenheimer being able to grab a lot of those technical categories, I think it's going to help its chance the Best Picture, its Best Picture case. And at 26%, it's Killers of the Flower Moon. We still need to hear more about it, but it's sitting at a very high mark right now. Reviews have loved it. It's being very highly received. Martin Scorsese, Leonardo DiCaprio, Robert De Niro. I just need to say those 3 names, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, it's going to be a big player. We'll have to see what movie gets it, but it's heating up quickly. It's very stacked. It's going to be very interesting to see how things play out. So you see my Best Picture pie. What do you think about it? Disagree? Agree? What should go up? What should go down? What should enter? And don't say Mario.
Nah, G, Meg too.
Has a chance.
A 0% chance. The top 2, I think that is going to be the battle at this year's Oscars. I think Killers are going to come up on top. I mean, it's, as you said, De Niro, Scorsese, and DiCaprio. It's the heavyweights of cinema. But I would really love for Oppenheimer to win. It's just finally gives Nolan his Oscar. It recognizes him for making like one of his best films in his filmography, and then Cillian Murphy's performance as well. I would have put Poor Things a little bit more higher just after that. I know it went up by like 11%, but just a nudge more. It has that sort of feel to everything all at once, where it can just, once the casual audience sees it and more critics sees it, it's just going to take the world by storm.
Yeah.
And if these initial critics have enjoyed it and say that it's like this brilliant and this fun and colorful and stuff like that, like it could really catch on and it could really just blow up and maybe cause an upset. I'll put it down as a dark horse for this year's Oscars for sure. Want to go down to, I agree with everything else. I just want to go down to Across the Spider-Verse. I think you said you put it up at 1% because of the popularity factor, because Dune went out. I think that 1% should probably go to Barbie. Like it's been a hell of a lot more popular, and like the director as well. I think that would have a higher chance of winning Best Picture than Spider-Verse. I mean, I think we already know that Spider-Verse is going to take out the animation Best Picture anyway. But for me, I'll probably give that extra 1% to Barbie. Just because of popularity and how well received it's been since it's released, and Greta Gerwig and all those other factors.
No, that's completely valid. Plus, no animated film has won Best Picture ever, and 3 have been nominated for Best Picture in history. So you may be right with Barbie there. my thing with Barbie and the Oscars, and I've been covering the Oscars on MovieGainz.com. I'm going through the categories now. It's hard to know where Barbie sits. I find Barbie to be a movie that, yeah, if the Academy go for Barbie, they're going to go for it hard. It's going to get like, 10, 11, 12 nominations. Don't know how it's going to win. I think it'll play like Top Gun Maverick. Lots of nominations, no wins kind of thing. But there's also the slight chance where they don't really buy into what Barbie did, and it kind of just gets, 3 or 4 kind of nominations: production design, makeup and hairstyling, costuming, kind of thing. So I need to see where everything sits before I kind of give that thing to Barbie. I think in terms of just storytelling and the quality of the film, I think Spider-Verse stands above, and I think that would carry through. But I could see anyone, putting their 1% onto Barbie easily over across the Spider-Verse. As for Oppenheimer, the thing about this, and I keep seeing this on Twitter, I want Christopher Nolan to get his finally get his best director Oscar. And trust me, he's my favorite director. I really want that too. You can't say that. Martin Scorsese has 1 win for best directing in over 50 years of directing, masterpiece after masterpiece. They're both overdue, and one is historically one of the greatest of all time. So it's hard to just say, oh, it's Nolan's time, just give it to him, kind of thing. Because Martin Scorsese deserves more than 1 directing Oscar. I think we can both say that. But yeah, it's honestly looking like a stacked year. It's gonna be very fun to do these pies in the future, and I'm looking forward to doing these segments with you when you get back, and not providing you any food in exchange of doing these pies.
Our
No,
BYO.
I'll have a mince and cheese pie
Yeah.
for us. Yeah. uh, but yeah, we'll move on now to a movie that didn't exist a week ago. And that is Taylor Swift Eras Tour. So last week if you were listening to Let's Be Real, this movie was never announced, never in existence, and it was announced midway through the week. We're going to cover some of the box office attributes about this, because it blows my mind, and I'm kind of freaking out about it. So I need a little bit of help there, but I keep getting surprised by different box office revelations post COVID-19. Spider-Man No Way Home, sure, you had all the Spider-Man there, but like, to do 1.9 without China, it's still very impressive, and it was still a significant time for COVID-19. Top Gun Maverick becoming like 1.5 billion something, very surprising. Top 5 in the US ever, so that's very surprising. Avatar being able to replicate its success with the third all time, 2.4, 2.3 billion. Ridiculous. And Barbie continuing to break things. Oppenheimer might be $1 billion R-rated biopic that's 3 hours long. And now we're getting Taylor Swift Eras Tour. And let me just say some of the stuff about this movie. So it broke the record on AMC for first day ticket sales for a film, with 26 million in the first day. But the previous record was Spider-Man No Way Home, and that did 16.9 million in the first 24 hours. And the 26 million that I just referred to for Taylor Swift, that was in 3 hours. It nearly broke it by 10 million in, I think, a seventh of the time. Just, you can't make this up. This is completely historic. This is insane. It's ridiculous. And if we want to keep getting more silly about it, it broke the record for the first 24 hours of pre-sales with 50 million. It succeeds Avengers Endgame with 46 million. That movie only had something like 25 films to build up to it in about 10 years. So it's just insane. Fandango reported it's the biggest day for ticket sales so far in 2023, and that it's selling similar to Endgame, The Force Awakens, and Spider-Man No Way Home. Some of the biggest films of all time. I don't have much words to really try and articulate for it. And I'm sorry, I'm just gonna be brutally honest here. Anyone who has replied to my stuff on Twitter about this and saying, "Oh, it's the biggest artist in the world." I'm not surprised. You are just silly. You no, it is a surprise. You can't make these numbers up. The biggest concert film in the world. This is a concert film. It is not a film. All right, it's a concert film. It shot the Los Angeles concert. The biggest one that ever did this was Justin Bieber, and it made 71 total at the domestic box office. And it's at 50, and Taylor Swift's Eras Tour is at 50 million pre-sales, 24 hours. Like, don't, it's not, it's a massive surprise. No film's done this in history. It's a surprise. All right, Nan, I'm just thinking about some of the replies that I got. I'm getting heated. Take it away from me. What do you think about these box office numbers?
The biggest singer of all time.
Don't start with me. I will end this right now, right here.
Nah, but it is surprising, but they're not surprising at the same time. I mean, she has like over 200 million followers on Instagram, so clearly that will translate over.
Yeah.
New music fans are a different beast. So if they want to see if the movie's coming out with one of their, favorite singers in it, they're obviously going to flood to the cinemas and watch it. But the fact that it's like up there selling similar to Endgame and Force Awakens and No Way Home, like those are all three of those, in fact, films, especially the first two, had like so much hype around it. Endgame finishing off a 10-year story, Force Awakens, the first Star Wars film to carry off after the originals, and No Way Home, having all three Spider-Man in it, to be rumored, until it actually happened.
Yeah.
Those had some big things over it. But the fact that like a music tour or a concert movie is putting these numbers, like not even Michael Jackson. I think we can all agree that like he's probably one of the greatest like pop stars
Yeah.
ever.
He had it with This Is It. I think it's top 3 concert film. Yeah.
Yeah. And the fact that Taylor Swift, shit, I'd love to. It's gonna be fun discussing the box office for this film when it comes out, because I think those numbers are just going to be insane that none of us would have ever thought. Like, it could potentially reach 100 million if it's already at 56 pre-sales. Just casuals walking up. It could reach there, might not. Who knows? But maybe like definitely high 80s and above is where I'd put it.
Well, looking at just pre-sales and everything right now, I think this movie is going to be the biggest opener of the year. It's going to succeed Barbie. It's going to be Barbie. It's going to be Mario. And I've seen a lot about this because people are taking it seriously now because they don't think anything of it because it's Taylor Swift and it's a concert movie. It's not an actual movie. Yeah, they're looking at stuff like 200 million is a real possibility. It's not out of reach, and if the demand's there, then cinemas they're gonna go for it. But I don't know how big this movie is going to be. There could be a chance that you can't really determine too much of pre-sales for this movie either because one, it doesn't play on weekdays at all for the US, so you're only having the weekends. So in turn, that's going to boost every weekend itself because no one can go see it on a weekday. And yeah, I don't know how you look at it because you can look at it in a way that the Swifties, the fan base is essentially what they're called. They're all just going to pile on to the pre-sales and just try and get their tickets as soon as possible. It really depends on all the other people, all the other Swifties or all the other casual audiences, them coming through and pulling through to create kind of this big weekend that is building up to be. We'll have to see how pre-sales track for this. You're right; it is going to be a very fun movie to look at the box office. Even if it does anything over 70 million, I think it's just insane. Like, I think it's just stupid. In like a good way. I mean, look, I'll look at it now. Concert movies. Just opening weekend there. The highest one's 31 million for Hannah Montana and Miley Cyrus, Best of Both Worlds concert. Next one is 29 million with Justin Bieber. Nothing's crossed 73 million. And the Michael Jackson one is This Is It with 72 million. So these are unprecedented numbers, both in one category. And if it goes to 200 million, that's the 9th film to do it ever. And it's not a real film. And it would be, I think it would be the first non-franchise thing ever to do it. I mean, you can consider Taylor Swift a franchise if you want, but I do not, because it's not in any movie format in any kind of way. But if it opens up, pardon?
It is now.
It is now. I don't know what this does for the future of cinema, because you can bet your life savings that if this movie beats Barbie for the opening weekend, just the opening weekend, it's going to turn ahead. All the big studio execs, they're going to turn their head and be like, how? This movie that wasn't a complete movie like we do opened to this kind of number. How do we do that?
No build up, nothing.
No, just Taylor Swift announcing it on Instagram. It's a real testament to Taylor Swift and her popularity. Honestly, just really good stuff on her part there. I know that the tour itself is I think it's tracking to be the biggest tour in history. I think Elton John is the biggest tour in history so far, but it's looking to make $2 billion in its in her tour. Just insane stuff. And if she can add on, at least like 500 million from the box office for this concert movie, then it's a real testament to her status as a celebrity and pop star. We'll have to see how the international rollout is with this, whether she decides to release the film in line with that country's the date of her concert, because I know she's coming to New Zealand, I think late this year or early next year. I think it's early next year. So
I have no idea.
Yeah, I think we'll get it around that time, just to coincide with that concert date, so people that missed out on the concert can actually just go to the movies and see it. It's actually quite a good marketing strategy. I guarantee we'll see more of this. Yeah, probably cheaper, 100% cheaper.
$70 for a front row seat at the Taylor Swift movie.
$70 is very generous, my friend. It's probably like $300, maybe even $500. Just the way this concert's kind of selling. But yeah, we'll move on now. That's enough Taylor Swift for the Let's Be Real podcast. I don't know if we'll say that name again here. But no, we will, because the box office could be insane for the movie. But we're going to move on, not to MCU, but to Toy Story news. So Toy Story 5 is something that me and Nan have been, I think, openly not aggressive, but we disagree with the choice that this movie is existing or going to exist in the near future. And Nan, I really want to get your perspective on the new rumors that have come out recently. So some insiders have found out the stuff on some little plot details here. So apparently Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head will be returning for it, but they'll be recasted. Both actors have passed away since Toy Story 4. So you do have that at play. It may feel different. We don't know. It really depends on who they bring in to cast and to voice those characters. The big news, however, is that Andy is going to be returning as an adult, and his family, they're going to play a part in the plot. So we've gone from So Long partner to Howdy partner in Toy Story 5. How do you feel about that?
Oh, they should have just ended it at 3. Like, you're not going to beat Toy Story 3's ending, and you sure as shit are not going to beat Toy Story 4's ending. So how is this going to end? How would Andy even come? The toys are separate now. Buzz and his crew went one way, and Woody stayed with Bo Peep. It's like, are they going to go back to the fucking carnival thing where Woody is, and then, oh shit, they'll track down Buzz and oh, there we go, cool. I'll take you into my family, you can play with my kids. Fuck, I don't know. Jesus. Just I think this is unwanted, but because it's Toy Story, we've had 4 bangers in a row, you know. Um yeah, it's I won't doubt it on this film being fantastic because you can't bet against Toy Story. You know, it is one of
Yeah,
those it's one of those few franchises where it's just consistently consistent. You know, those high 90s for each one.
100%. Yep.
But these rumors, they don't really get me that excited. I mean, I don't really. We've already seen Andy say goodbye. I don't want to see him again because we already said goodbye. Mister and Mrs. Potato Head, I get it why they want to come. You know, they're staples in the franchise, so you sort of have to have them there. But hopefully these are just what it is, rumors and not actual details.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'm basically in agreement with that. It's a very frustrating point of view to have because on one side of things, it's like, okay, the third one ended it perfectly. And when I say perfectly, I'm always a person that says, perfection is something that you can't get. Toy Story 3 got to perfection with its ending, like one of the best trilogy endings of all time. Like there is no doubt about it. And then the fourth one came out, and I think everyone that I knew was like, why? I thought they ended it. And then we saw that they actually kind of justified its existence, and they provide another compelling end, and it was another really, really strong entry into a franchise that is honestly one of the best of all time. And here we are again with the fifth one. And it's like they ended the fourth one perfectly. They ended the third one perfectly. When does this trilogy end? But at the same time, you can't sit there and be like, oh, this is dumb. They shouldn't do this, or it shouldn't be made. They already ended it, because we've been through this before. We had this Toy Story 4 and it was a great film. If Disney can nail this, then I don't know who we to just really sit here and be like, oh, you can't really do the ending for this. It does make it quite a conflicting perspective to have. So I guess that's where I really fit in terms of Andy returning. Like, I don't know how you can do it. I don't know how you can do it, honestly, because if he returns as an adult and then his kid plays with them and then the toys grow up with him, then that's just stupid to me, because it's just so unlikely, and it just wouldn't be like realistic in any kind of way at all, even for a children's movie. It doesn't make sense how his toys could survive about at least 15 to 20 years without Andy, and then just, oh, he comes back and his kids are there and they'll play with him. Yeah, and how Andy would even recognize those toys again and know that it was theirs, because I guarantee they would, decompose and be kind of destroyed because they are toys and not humans. It just doesn't make sense for me. If he's there as in like I don't know, Buzz and Woody reunite somehow, I can see Buzz and Woody reuniting pretty easily. But let's say, they see Andy and they try to get him back and it doesn't work, because sure, it won't work and it shouldn't work. They just kind of admired where Andy's been and how far he's going and how he has kids. I could see that working if the last shot's like, I don't know, like them like looking at him, and you got this Toy Story score really bursting and stuff like that, and it's like, oh, I'm proud of you, partner, or something like that. I could see that, not that exact line, but I could see that working and just kind of bringing the franchise to full closure for the third time. Then it can work. But yeah, it's a very hard thing to do, to bring Andy in and cap off this franchise. And at this point, honestly, I don't know if they're going to cap off the franchise. They might just open it up for future things. Yeah. If they do this, Nan, for Toy Story 5, should this be the last one?
Well, I said that about 3 and I was wrong, and then I said that about 4 and I was wrong. So if I say it now, I'm just going to be wrong.
Yeah.
Like what they should do is they should have capped it off at Toy Story 4, because that's the last one, and Toy Story 5 should have been set about on different toys, and a different character, different human, You're still keeping that Toy Story name, but you're just going more deeper into the Toy Story universe, so to speak. I think that there'll be a more interesting concept than trying to like shoehorn Andy and stuff like that. You could even have a cameo of Woody and Buzz in there, in this new sort of spin-offy Toy Story. They can cameo, so you still have that nostalgia there. But just having it as a direct sequel to 1, 2, 3, and 4 is just people I will start to question why this exists for. I mean, they'll definitely go see it because it's Toy Story. But it's just how many times can lightning strike before you get zapped and died,
Yeah, exactly. I just don't know how long they can keep doing Toy Stories with the exact same characters, because the Toy Story franchise has been around longer than I've been alive. And that's
Can't
just
say the same.
I know you can't. But yeah, no, I think that's just insane, and it's honestly, it's too long. It's too long for a franchise. Yeah, it has to end at some point. When it's something like this. So I think if Toy Story 5 does really, have all this kind of stuff, it needs to be a movie that passes it on to other toys, because I think we need that. It'd be interesting. I really want to see the Toy Story franchise with completely new characters and a new child and all this kind of stuff, and just have a new Toy Story for the new generation, because we've aged really well with the Toy Story franchise. Like, Andy was a child when we were a child, and Andy was a teenager when we were a teenager, and now he's an adult when we're an adult. So yeah, I think it's going to be something that we can really resonate with quite powerfully. But at some point, you got to hand it off to the next generation, and that's what they need to do with this one, I think. But yes, yeah. But that is going to do it for us on today's episode. And we got through another episode without MCU or DCU news, if you exclude the box office stuff. So good episode today. We'll see how it goes next week. But thank you so much for tuning into this episode. Your support and engagement does mean a lot to us. If you liked what you heard, follow us on your favorite podcast platform and consider giving us a rating. Stay connected with us on Twitter and YouTube as well. Before we say goodbye, we just want to hear if you agreed with anything that we said today. Are you excited for Taylor Swift Eras tours? Should Andy appear in Toy Story 5? Are you excited for any of the film festival films that have recently debuted? Whatever it is, whatever you think, head on over to our Twitter at MovieGainz and share your perspective with us. And for 4K movie reviews, box office analysis, and a lot of award season coverage, visit MovieGainz.com. And also, you can sign up to our weekly email newsletter to stay up to date and never miss a beat. Thanks again for joining us, and we'll catch you next time. Keep bringing the hype. Peace.
See ya.